Good evening and thanks for joining us. It's time for the pipelines to finally rest in peace, and present efforts by the NNPC's GMD is sure to make this realizable and to give a new lease of life to the downstream sector. This effort is a rallying of stakeholdership to rise up to the challenge. Also on the lineup is a great help for oil industry development coming from APO, the African Petroleum Producers Organization. Find out who's getting the help. Plus, new guys on board of NNPC Abuja Cooperative on Investment Drive. They have a big dream and a great task ahead of them. It's all in the package. My name is Akin Agbejule. This is Oil and Gas Forum.
Someone told me that 4 to 5 months before December, that the NNPC have taken a proactive measure to make sure that there is availability of fuel during this festive period. And even despite that there are some disgruntled elements within the oil sector that actually wanted to frustrate this government to make sure that the fuel is not available. But you know, because of the efficiency and efficacy of the measure they have taken, you can see it. We all celebrated it. Honestly, it is a plus.
No panic to buy fuel for black market. NNPC go bring fuel for all motorists.
NNPC say them get fuel jabrata for ground. Saboteur. All of una wey dey thief with fuel and petroleum station wey dey hot smuggle and divert our fuel go neighboring country. Plus people wey dey build small tank and sell fuel pass our government price of 145 naira per litre. Stop am o. Because why? Na big offense now. Na jail straight away. NNPC say our government no increase fuel price, na still 145 naira per litre. So therefore, no buy black market, no do panic buying. Enough fuel dey wey go round. Nigerians, if you see any petrol station where they sell fuel pass our government price of 145 naira per litre, kia report to the nearest security agency when near you or the Department of Petroleum Resources. Na Ndu Ohamado, Group General Manager, Group Public Affairs Division, NNPC, signed this message.
Welcome to the highlight. Losses are soon to be turned into gains as far as the fate of pipelines are concerned, even as the war against their vandalism is being won through strategic efforts of the NNPC's GMD. APO pledges technical support to member countries. Board of Directors inaugurated for NNPC Abuja Cooperative Funding SPV PLC. The reason you've not heard about this is because it's new. You need the details. The African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, has pledged its support to African countries in the development of their oil industry to accelerate economic development in the continent. Nigeria's Minister of State for Petroleum Resources and President of the organization, Dr. Ibe Kachiku, who gave this pledge at the inauguration of the Executive Board of APO in Abuja, decried the absence of development among the continent's petroleum-producing countries. Dr. Kachiku said the essence of the meeting was to reform the organization and recapitalize the APO fund to place it in a position to provide the needed support to countries that are just entering the petroleum industry and to those that need to expand.
We said to look at the current rules. We looked at the quality of the people who should run the organization and some of the privileges that are associated with hosting rights for the organization.
He noted that the biggest challenge facing African countries was infrastructure and, quote, unless we have sufficient funds to expand the infrastructure level, our dreams of bettering the lives of our people will not be realized, unquote. The APO president tasked the executive members to take the organization to the next level, and one that would stand the test of time and stand with its peers anywhere in the world.
We also have an open mind and feel that there's a need to bequeath to Africa an organization that will survive the test of time and compete with its peers all over the world.
Speaking earlier, the Secretary General of the organization, Mohamed Lawan Gaya, said Africa is supposed to play a leading role in the global energy mix, given the number of oil-producing countries in the continent, which he put at 20. He tasked member countries on the needs to unite and develop the continent, grow the organization, and be able to challenge other leading oil producers across the world.
À Cotonou, à Abidjan, à Abuja, à N'Djamena. Donc nous avons parcouru toutes ces capitales-là en vue justement de permettre à notre organisation d'avoir les textes les meilleurs de façon à ce qu'elle puisse se hisser au niveau des organisations internationales du même secteur.
The executive board of the organization is made up of representatives from 18 countries. Nigeria is represented on the board by the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Petroleum Resources, Dr. Mrs. Folashade Yemi Eson.
The Group Managing Director of the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, Dr. Maikanti Baru, has commended the NNPC Abuja Multi-Purpose Cooperative Society on its initiative to invest in a 5-star hotel in Abuja. Dr. Baru gave the commendation at the inauguration of the board of NNPC Abuja Cooperative NAC Funding SPV PLC, a new firm set up to drive the development and construction of the hotel, describing the initiative as courageous and called on staff to see it as an opportunity to invest.
Appropriate for me to inaugurate the board and also flag up the project.
He applauded the leadership of the cooperative for running it to an uncommon level of commercial viability that it could consider going into a high-profile investment as a 5-star hotel in the central business district of the Federal Capital Territory. He urged members of the board to do everything within their power to mobilize members of the cooperative to raise the required 20 billion naira in exchange for equity shares in the company. The GMD also described as credible the choice of Radisson Blu as a technical partner for the hotel project, stressing that Radisson Blu was a global brand in the hospitality business. Chairman of the board and former Group General Manager, Finance, Mr. Amadou Sambo, pledged the total commitment of members to deliver a world-class hotel that would meet the needs and expectations of Nigerians and the global community. He said the hotel, a fully serviced 258-room facility, would raise the bar in the Nigerian hospitality industry in terms of quality service and affordable luxury, adding that it would also generate employment opportunities for the youth.
We are going to fully launch this project, and you're going to see full marketing place to sensitize, inform, and provide all the information and answer all questions to all members and potential investors as to the way to go about putting their funds for the realization of this project.
To leverage with the 12 buffer of the present GMD of NNPC. The first, which is the staff welfare. The second, which is part of it, is the investment. So at least that's why we're investing in a 5-star luxury hotel to achieve what the part of the 12th buffer of the GMD of NNPC.
Meanwhile, the Group Managing Director of NNPC, Dr. Maikanti Baru, has assured management, staff and retirees of the corporation of his total commitment to their welfare. He gave this commitment at the 6th Annual General Meeting of the NNPC Pension Fund Limited, which took place at the NNPC Towers, Abuja. Dr. Baru, who doubles as chairman of the fund, commended the two in-house unions, Nupeng and Pengason, for their understanding, sacrifice and dedication to the cause of the oil industry, adding that he and his management team would always ensure that they are carried along in the affairs of the corporation.
The management is committed to the welfare of staff, both serving and retired staff, and we've demonstrated that by ensuring that we exited. We've made the fund robust. We also continuously review where the funds and investments are, and we get to the places where they have the least risk and also the highest returns.
Dr. Baru expressed satisfaction with the performance of the management of the NNPC Pension Fund, while assuring them of regular funding of their account and the proposed registration of the Consolidated Pension Fund Administration, CPFA, with the National Pension Commission, PENCOM.
They have sacrificed, they have been able to understand what we should do, and they're able to convey the best messages to their members, the staff, and that's why both the staff are well informed and the management is also very much aligned.
Speaking earlier, NNPC's Chief Financial Officer, CFO Isiaka Abdulrazak, expressed gratitude to the management and staff for their support in the successful harmonization of pension and gratuity in the corporation. He commended the GMD and the leadership of the Workers' Union for their support to the management in closing the pension gap.
And I'd like to commend GMD in particular, Dr. Mekanti Baru, for his leadership and also the union members that supported us to help us convince the staff to make this sacrifice so that the fund can be sustainable going into the future.
One of the greatest challenges militating against the smooth operation of the downstream petroleum sector is pipeline vandalism. The losses the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) has incurred from this nefarious act by unscrupulous Nigerians over the years are enormous. As part of his efforts to stem the menace, the Group Managing Director of the NNPC, Dr. Mekanti Baru, upon assumption of office, embarked on collaborative engagements with stakeholders, notably the security agencies, both military and paramilitary.
The high point of this visit, sir, is to confer with you on matters of national strategic security importance as it affects the operations of NNPC and to seek further support and cooperation as well as collaboration.
He also undertook massive repairs of pipelines and aggressively revamped major downstream infrastructure, all in a bid to further consolidate the corporation gains and achievements for the steady supply and distribution of petroleum products nationwide. As of December 2018, almost all the NNPC's depots have been resuscitated and put to use through decanting of over 140 million liters of PMS nationwide.
The System 2B pipeline, which connects the Atlas Cove to the Mosimi product pipeline, has been down since May 2016 due to activities of the vandals. But it has been reactivated and put back to service. The vandalism-prone segments of this pipeline at Ejedo and Arepo have now been buried deep into the ground through the HDD. We have also increased payment storage capacity in Mosimi, in Atlas Cove and satellite depots, as well as resupplying Ibadan depot through pipeline.
The NNPC's management efforts to consolidate on the gains of 2018 and ensure a better 2019 received a major boost with the capture of Mr. Shuaibu Ogumala, an alleged notorious oil pipeline kingpin, whose illegal activities through the years led to loss of millions of liters of products along the Lagos Atlas Cove Strip in the strategic System 2B pipeline network. NNPC said Shuaibu was captured recently at his luxury hotel in Ilashe community along the Badagry Creek by officers and men of Operation Awate, a joint military task force on oil theft and pipeline vandalism anchored by the Western Naval Command, Apapa, Lagos. Shuaibu had operated a thriving oil theft racket for decades, hacking pipelines in some island communities in Amuwodofin local government area of Lagos State along the System 2B network right of way. Shuaibu and his gang executed their illegal trade by digging holes meters away from the corporation's products pipeline, which essentially serve as a storage tank for products directly siphoned from the lines at a hack point. These holes, which are cast in drums, receive products simultaneously from the labyrinth of pipelines connected to the trunk line directly linked to the ruptured NNPC line. The products so harvested are later scooped or transferred into jerry cans and drums and are sold to ready buyers who usually throng the beachside. From that point, the products were shipped to Cotonou, which has a firmly established market for smuggled Nigerian fuel. Commenting on the significance of the arrest of the notorious oil theft kingpin, Rear Admiral Obed Galabak, flag officer commanding the Western Naval Command, who also doubles as the commander of Operation Awate, said the feat was the beginning of a well-mapped-out strategy to halt the menace of pipeline vandals across the zone. He explained that Shuaibu was the ultimate godfather of all thieves in Ilashe, and adjoining settlements where he consigned portions of his territory and offered operating rights to other thieves to operate and bring in returns at agreed rates and terms.
The arrest of Shuaibu, particularly, which we did last week on the 17th, is particularly important because Shuaibu is the ringleader, as you understand, who has been in this business for over 30 years or thereabout. He has now gotten boys that he has groomed into the business. So the arrest of Shuaibu is vital because once this has taken place and he's properly prosecuted, the boys will realize that the law will also have its course and will be discouraged from going further in this line of business.
Rear Admiral Galabak said investigation revealed that the Ilashe pipeline axes have been divided into 3 oil fields by the criminals under the operating titles of Shuaibu Point, Dele Point, and Bashiru Point. He assured that in the days ahead, the culprit will be handed over to the appropriate authority for prosecution, while efforts are in place to ensure prompt arrest of other members of the syndicate. Sam Otoboeze, General Manager in charge of the Group Security Department of the NNPC, in his response, described the capture of Ogumola as a victory in the fight against the nefarious activities of pipeline vandals.
The arrest means celebration for us because of the deterrent impact, not only just the prosecution of the key character, but the deterrence, the message that will go out. We do hope that the way it's handled will determine to what extent the success will be sustained.
Indeed, it is heartwarming and an indication that Dr. Barrow and his team are winning the war against pipeline vandalism, and it is therefore evident that they are on track with NNPC's 12 business focus areas, BUFAS, and by extension, the vision of Mr. President to improve the status of the oil and gas infrastructure, thereby ensuring products availability to support the National Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, ERGP.
Hello, my name is Julia Auta. Welcome to the feedback segment of the program. The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation, NNPC, is saddled with the mandate of managing the nation's abundant oil and gas resources, with the vision of becoming a world-class oil and gas company driven by a shared commitment to excellence. The corporation aims to become a major player in the industry, both locally and internationally. This week, we hit the streets to find out from the Nigerian public their understanding of the functions or roles of the NNPC in the petroleum industry and indeed the Nigerian economy.
Well, the major function of Nigerian Petroleum Corporation is to take care of Nigerian oil industry. And beside that, NNPC is one of the major key sectors that take care of Nigerian oil.
They are in charge of our natural resources. That is how it's been administered. They oversee the agreement between those who are drilling the oil, the crude oil, the sales, and how the petrol to downstream and upstreams.
NNPC are supposed to liaise with OPEC in terms of regulating the price of crude oil at the international market.
They do the drilling, they do the marketing, refining, they sell the gas and distribute the gas.
Main organ that is anchoring our production of our crude oil and also marketing, and is the main economy of the country, Nigeria.
They are responsible for petroleum like fuel, gas, kerosene and oil.
The activity of an NPC is more to regulate activities of the downstream and ensure that the products are available and in the right quantity at the right time.
Interesting responses, you would say. Apart from managing the nation's oil and gas resources,
the NNPC also explores, refines, supplies and distributes petroleum products to end users.
It is also the highest foreign exchange earner and presently the largest domestic supplier of gas in the country. And that's all we have for you today on this segment. Please stay with us. The rest of the program continues.
Hello! Glad to have you join us on yet another informative segment of the program. My name is Abigail Ojobo. Did you know that on 28 June 2017, the Federal Executive Council approved a new national gas policy to strengthen the 2008 Nigerian Gas Master Plan? Did you know that the Nigerian gas policy aims at moving Nigeria from a crude oil export-based economy to a gas-based industrial economy? Did you also know that Nigeria has more gas reserves than oil, with proven reserves of 192 trillion cubic feet and the 9th largest gas reserve in the world? Did you know that in 2004, the NNPC played a central role in the inauguration of the West African gas pipeline in order to supply gas from Nigeria to Benin, Togo and Ghana? Did you also know that the NNPC is the single largest equity investor and gas reserves owner in the Nigerian gas sector? Now you know. Please stay tuned for the rest of the program.
Hello and welcome to Global Crude Oil Outlook. Oil prices rose Friday, shaking off persistent concerns about the outlook for the demand after the U.S. government said it could impose sanctions on OPEC member Venezuela's crude exports. Brent crude futures were up 10 cents at $61.24 a barrel, having touched a session high of $61.38. U.S. West Texas Intermediate WTI crude futures were up 14 cents at $52.76 a barrel. Venezuela's opposition leader, Juan Guaido, declared himself interim president Wednesday, winning backing from Washington and parts of Latin America and prompting socialist Nicolás Maduro, the country's leader since 2013, to break relations with the United States. The economic crisis under Maduro has decimated Venezuela's oil industry, cutting its crude output to near 70-year lows, around 1.2 million barrels per day, from double that 3 years ago. Venezuela's oil is predominantly heavy crude, which requires extensive refining and as such is frequently blended with lighter crudes to give refiners higher value products. With Iran already crippled by U.S. sanctions on its oil, a further drop in Venezuelan exports could squeeze global supply and rapidly push up prices. Neither the Brent nor the WTI contract, both of which are backed by light, sweet crude, are linked directly to Venezuelan oil. But evidence of the concerns around supply of heavy crudes is apparent in the U.S. physical market, where prices for medium crude shot to their highest since early 2011 this week. Physical markets around the world have already seen a sharp rise in prices for oil cargoes, thanks in part to reduced supply from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries. OPEC, together with non-members such as Russia, Kazakhstan and Oman, agreed in December 2018 to cut crude output this year by 1.2 million barrels per day to avoid a build-up in unused inventories, particularly if the global economic outlook darkened. Concerns about the U.S. trade war with China, as well as slower European growth and more fragile emerging economies, have undermined confidence in the oil market in the last few months. The International Monetary Fund this week cut its forecast for growth in 2019 and 2020. And that's it on this segment of the program. My name is Solomon Yopave.
Don't quote anybody out of context. And like I said earlier, we are not saying money is stolen. No money is stolen. We're only trying to clarify the processes of expenditure in line with the various extant laws.
That's the package of Oil and Gas Forum for this edition. and a new week begins officially right now. NNPC wishes you a great one. Keep the date next week. Bye.